She said, "I love you" at our closure, then blocked me with "don't reply," and it destroyed me. Okay, so my chest clenched. My hands went cold. I stared at the screen. I couldn't breathe, right? I called once. No ring. I emailed twice. Nothing back. I paced the kitchen. I mean, what now? And here is where it gets worse. I opened our message thread and scrolled. The timestamp showed 2 in the morning. Draft after draft unsent, 23 calls logged as cancelled, 72 texts typed, never delivered. In my notes app, I counted 4 months of daily entries documenting the same spiral. I put my phone down. "Are you safe?" My voice barely worked, she answered hours later. "Watch for aftershocks." The words were gentle, not inviting. "No contact again." She added that. I gripped the table. "Do you mean forever?" The room stayed quiet. Her silence pressed like weight. I swallowed hard and waited. The counselor looks me dead in the eye and goes, "We have to talk about this cycle." I rubbed my temples. "What cycle?" Her voice went soft. "Push, pull, panic, then collapse." I stared at the carpet. "I'm trying to stop." She nodded once. "Then stop chasing." I blinked fast. "How?" Her pen hovered. "Boundaries or burnout." I left that office with a folder and a warning. My phone showed 23 missed nights of sleep tracked since September. Over 6 panic episodes documented by urgent care since October. 3 times weekly check-ins recommended, plus an intake for anxiety treatment. At this point, I'm done. The psychiatrist adjusted her glasses, her posture steady. One more shock may trigger a full breakdown. My jaw locked, like hospital. Her voice went blunt. "Your nervous system is overloaded. Another no-contact stretch mixed with catastrophizing, and you could crash hard." I squeezed my knees. "So what do I do?" "No contact means no contact, including cyber peaking, or your body pays." I walked out into the parking lot and tried calling the couple's therapist anyway. Gatekeeper voice answered, chipper, rehearsed. "Without both parties, we can't proceed." I just stood there thinking, this system works for people who aren't drowning. If the system won't help, what now? Part of me wanted to drive to her office building. Another part wanted to throw my phone in a river. I opened my laptop instead. I searched for jobs she might like, because that is me, trying to fix with usefulness. Now, I know what you're thinking. This isn't fixing. I hear you. I drafted an email with links. I deleted it. I closed my eyes. Then my screen pinged. An email from an alternate account. Subject line: "Don't reply. Sharing from a friend." A posting perfect for me. My stomach twisted and unknotted in the same second. She reached out. She also shut the door again. Both things were true. So I'm like, "Are you okay?" I typed those words into an email, then stopped. Earth shook that night, a strong one. Pictures rattled on walls. Alarms bleated outside. My hands trembled. I hit send. "Are you safe?" I typed again into my phone. 2 channels. 1 question. Morning came. "You too. Be safe. Watch for aftershocks. You don't have to reply." No contact again. The words landed, like rocks. I swallowed and nodded to nobody. I opened a blank document. I titled it, "The Last Time." I listed rules. No checking her friends. No reading old chats. No calling anonymous numbers hoping. No bargaining. I made coffee and dumped it out because my stomach lurched. I sat on the floor and breathed. Hours later, another link crossed my desk. A perfect role for her. I forwarded it with the location map she mentioned once. Subject line: "Reciprocating. No need to reply." I hovered over send, then clicked. I waited. She didn't answer. I watched my leg bounce. I exhaled slowly. The tension held anyway. I grabbed my coat from the chair. I walked to the community center, because sitting still felt impossible. The professional meetup buzzed with low voices. I got a name tag and stuck it on my chest. The adhesive tugged at hair. I scanned the room. She arrived late. She saw me. She nodded first. I nodded back. It was weirdly polite, like strangers sharing an elevator. I drifted near her table and touched her shoulder gently. "How have you been?" She lifted her eyes. "Okay, just stressed with work." I lied without thinking. "I'm surprisingly okay." She glanced at my badge. "Congrats on the progress." I shrugged. "Thanks." I told her she'd lost weight. She smiled and thanked me. I joked about a woman on my trivia team. She teased me back. The vibe stayed neutral, warm but guarded. I stepped away. "Enjoy the night and be well." "Be well too." We landed on opposite sides during a team exercise. She avoided eye contact like it might burn. She left before I did. I stared at the empty chair she'd occupied and rubbed my jaw until it ached. Part of me wanted to chase her out the door. Part of me wanted to scream in the parking lot. Then I understood this was the quiet version of us breaking, and maybe that was mercy. I waited. A senior colleague cornered me near the coffee urn. He stirred his cup. "She mentioned you were coming." He kept stirring. Tone was chill. I nodded once, like that news didn't catch in my throat. On the way home, my phone vibrated with a weather alert. Aftershocks possible overnight. I placed the phone face down on the passenger seat. I drove past her street anyway, then turned around at the next light. I pressed my tongue to the roof of my mouth to stop the nausea. My inbox sat empty for days. I worked. I ate toast. I stared at my wall's blank space. I updated my resume for the role she sent. I submitted the application she sent, then sat perfectly still until my legs stopped bouncing. Part of me wanted to tell her. Part of me kept my mouth shut. I refreshed my email, and an interview invite popped up. Same building where she worked. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do not go. I know. I booked it anyway, because rent exists. I ironed a shirt and buttoned it wrong twice. I fixed it, grabbed my bag, and left. The lobby guard scanned my ID. My hands went cold on the scanner. He waved me through, and I rode the elevator up, trying not to look at her floor number. The interview was brisk, friendly, standard. I walked through a case exercise, presented a quick framework, and breathed when their faces softened. So, availability. The hiring lead leaned back. We move fast. Immediately, I replied, voice steady. I can start after notice, she nodded. Great. You might hear today. Outside the glass room, I checked the time and drifted toward the elevator. The doors slid open. A woman stepped out holding folders. My chest jolted. Not her. Her boss. She spotted me. Oh, hi. I lifted a hand. Hey, she adjusted her grip on the folders. Interview? Yeah. She studied me a beat. She moved off this floor. My fingers tightened on the strap. I know. Her voice went careful. The safety office flagged a thing. Your name stayed in the emergency system. She shrugged lightly. Legacy contacts stick sometimes. My throat tightened. Do I need to do anything? They might reach out. Building compliance. Nothing dramatic. Copy. She stepped past me. Be gentle. Okay. I pressed the elevator button and watched the numbers glow. I rode down feeling everything buzz under my skin. Outside, I sat on a bench and stared at my shoes. Then my phone chimed. An email subject line read, Emergency contact confirmation required. It had the building letterhead. It listed her name, floor, safety zone, and an old contact field with my number, still attached. It also noted dates. Since November, drills occurred 3 times. Twice she checked out late. Once she hyperventilated. Recommendation: avoid known triggers in evacuation corridors. I exhaled slowly. My shoulders dropped an inch. Then the line under recommendations hit me harder. Known trigger listed as conflict with former partner in shared spaces. The implication was a punch. I pinched the bridge of my nose until stars flickered. There was a phone number for the safety officer. I tapped call. It rang twice. Facilities safety, a calm voice answered. I cleared my throat. Yeah, I'm the former contact. She and I are no contact. Can I remove myself without affecting her support? You can, the voice replied. We also advise you avoid the building during drills. Understood. There was a pause. We've had incidents where hallway encounters spiked panic. One more acute episode could cause a fall or head injury on stairs. My jaw locked. So it is serious. Yes, we'd rather not add risk. Remove me, I said. Add her sister. She prefers that. We have her sister listed on file. Yours appeared as secondary. Take me off completely. We will. You may receive a confirmation. Thanks. I ended the call and let my hands rest on my knees until they stopped shaking. And that is when it happened. The hiring lead emailed a second invite. Final round, scheduled for Friday morning. Same building. Same floor as the safety office. I stared at the screen and laughed once. Not the good kind. So I'm like, do I cancel? I asked my therapist on video. She lifted a brow. Do you need the job? Yes. Can you set boundaries that keep you safe? I can ride different elevators. I can time arrivals on the hour. She nodded. Then go, and leave emotions at the door. Right. Her voice went quiet. If you encounter her, walk away. My stomach twisted. I hear you. We ended the session, and I set alarms. I walked routes on maps to avoid her areas. I packed water, wrote notes, and went to bed early. Sleep did not show up. Friday morning, I stepped into the lobby and spotted a new sign about emergency procedures. I booked it to the far bank of elevators. The final round ran long. Case questions stacked. I whiteboarded solutions and tried to keep my voice steady. They smiled at the end. We'll be in touch soon. I nodded. Thanks for the time. I rode down with 2 analysts I didn't know. We chatted about coffee. The doors opened to the lobby and a siren chirped over the speakers. Not a drill. An alert scrolled across monitors. Seismic activity detected. Evacuate calmly. My chest went tight. The analysts moved toward the exit. I moved with them. A crowd formed in the lobby. Security guided people to stairwells. The stairwells filled fast. I paused at a corridor and scanned for a calmer path. A wave of bodies shifted. Someone bumped my shoulder. My heart raced. Near the far stairwell, I saw her for the first time in weeks. She stood with a small cluster, hands pressed together, eyes unfocused. Her head turned slightly, like listening hard. She started toward the wrong corridor where construction blocked the way. A guard lifted an arm to redirect traffic, but the noise swallowed his words. My throat burned. I took a step. Then I remembered the safety officer's warning. One more episode could mean head injury. My feet stuck. I grabbed my own wrist to keep from reaching. A woman nearby tugged my sleeve. Hey, you okay? I'm fine. She glanced at the crowd. You look pale. I'm fine. She hesitated. You know someone here? I kept my eyes on the floor. Everyone knows someone here. Right. The building groaned lightly the way old structures do during stress. The crowd tensed. Security shouted calm words I couldn't catch. She kept moving toward the blocked hall. I stepped sideways, raised my hand at a guard, and pointed toward the construction barriers. He cupped his mouth and barked directions. The crowd shifted. She paused, eyes darting, then turned with the flow. My shoulders dropped a notch. I stayed behind a column until her group passed. A woman near me looked relieved. Good catch. I kept my gaze down. He did it, not me. She touched her badge. Still, thanks. We moved with the stream to the plaza. The tremor eased and the speakers switched to status updates. I found a spot near the curb and fixed on a distant traffic light. I breathed in for 4, out for 6, like my therapist taught me. My hand steadied. I glanced once across the crowd. She stood with her team, head tilted, listening to instructions. She did not look my way. I took a step back and faced the street. The safety officer approached with a clipboard. He scanned faces. Anyo need medical. I lifted a hand halfway, then let it fall. I'm fine, he nodded. We clear in 10. I watched his shoes move away and felt my chest loosen another inch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not say hi, check in? Be human. Because the most loving thing sometimes is distance. Right? When they released us, I waited until her cluster re-entered. Then, I walked the opposite way, past the food trucks, past the line of smokers, past the knot of interns, buzzing about the excitement. My phone buzzed. New email. Thanks for coming in, we'd like to extend an offer. I sat on a low wall and read every line twice. The compensation was solid. The role was good. The floor number sat too close. I rubbed my jaw. Then I hit reply. Excited about the offer. Can we discuss workplace accommodations unrelated to disability, specifically floor placement and alternate routes? Happy to explain. The recruiter responded within minutes. Of course. Can you talk at 3? I typed back yes. I closed my eyes and rested my palms on my thighs. At 3, I answered in my kitchen with the window open. Her tone was upbeat. We want you. What do you need? I paced once. I'd like to be seated on the west tower, not the east. I need a start time 10 minutes off the hour, to avoid crowd surges, and I'd like access to the freight elevator during drills. There was a small pause. Is this about a person? My voice went quiet. It is about safety for both of us. Understood. Papers rustled. We can place you west. Start time granted. Freight access approved with safety training. I exhaled. Thank you. We'll send the package. Looking forward. We hung up. I stood still until my calf stopped buzzing. Then I opened a new document. Title line read, What I Will Not Send. I typed for an hour. An apology for old betrayals. An acknowledgement of my chasing. The truth that I love her, and also that love without safety is noise. I wrote that her peace matters. That my job is not to convince. That my path now is quiet and clear. I saved it. I closed it. I did not email it. That night, I brought the letter to therapy. I slid the pages across the table. She scanned the first lines. How did it feel to write it? My throat warmed. Like laying down a bag I've carried for years, she tapped the margin. Anything missing, maybe gratitude. For what? For the good parts, I shrugged. They were real, she nodded. Add that. Then archive it, ritual helps. So I print it, then file it. Or burn it in a safe way. I cracked a smile. Metaphors and fire, she laughed softly. Whatever cements the boundary. After session, I stopped by a small chapel. I lit a candle and whispered a simple wish for her safety. For mine. For our paths to stay separate unless both hearts were ready and healthy. I did not bargain. I stood, breathed, and left. Weeks passed. I onboarded and learned names. I avoided her floors and kept my calendar tight. I joined a lunch table and listened more than I spoke. I turned my phone face down at night and slept better. When earthquakes hit again, minor ones this time, I followed the plan and stayed in my lane. Then came another professional gathering. Different venue. Same circles. I arrived early and took a seat by the aisle. She walked in with 2 colleagues and scanned the room. Our eyes caught for a heartbeat. She nodded once. I nodded back. During a break, I found myself near the coffee urn. A coworker from my team smiled at me. How are you finding week 2? I stirred my cup. Good, fast, in a nice way. Want to join a project group after hours? We do light modeling and terrible jokes. I felt my jaw unclench. I could use terrible jokes. Tonite 7, no pressure. Text me the address. She entered it into her phone. Done. Across the room, I saw my ex speaking with a senior partner. Her expression looked calm, focused. She did not drift toward me. I did not drift toward her. My coworker nudged my elbow. Earth to you. I'm here. Good, she grinned. Stay here. We rejoined the session. I took notes, asked a question, made one person laugh. It felt small and normal, and that felt huge. After the event, I walked out under streetlights and paused at the corner. My phone stayed in my pocket. No scanning. No peeking. Just the night and the plan for 7. My therapist had said change feels boring at first. She was right. It also felt gentle. My chest did not seize when I passed by places where we used to stand. My hands stayed warm. My breath moved easily. One afternoon, an email landed from building safety.